Let's get started with some of the questions that folks have there. Cookie Monster has asked, what is a seventh chord arpeggio? Okay, well, arpeggio, we did a whole series on arpeggios there, Cookie Monster. So you can go back into our playlist and look at all of the, in fact, I think it was about last year at this time that we were finishing up our arpeggio series. So what an arpeggio is it's basically you've got a chord which has 3 or 4 notes in it, or more notes in it, whatever. And instead of playing them all together, I play them separately. I've broken that chord up into an arpeggio. So when I break a chord up in that and I take the chord tones and I make them sequential like that, that's called an arpeggio. So now you were asking about a seventh chord arpeggio. Okay, I'm not quite sure because the seventh refers to a couple of different things. It could refer to the seventh of the chord in this sense, like if I was doing a C or maybe a G seventh arpeggio, which has the notes G, B, D, F in it. That would be a way to do that. Or sometimes they refer to seventh arpeggios as any arpeggio that has the fourth note added to it. So instead of a triad, it becomes a 4-note triad, or a 4-note chord, like a C major seventh, a D minor seventh, D minor seventh, E minor seventh, and so on. So I'm not quite sure which use of the word seventh you were talking about there. So, and how to use these chords. Okay, so I'm assuming for this that you're talking about 4-note arpeggios. That's what I'm assuming you're talking about. So not just a C seventh, but a 4-note chord that includes whatever appropriate type of seventh it is, C major seventh, D minor seventh, E minor seventh, something like that. That's what I'm assuming you're talking about. So how do you use them? Oh, it's great. So I'm gonna do a little. Let me find a little groove here, and I've got my my looper going today. So I'll see if I can get a little groove for you. Okay, so there's my little groove, and if I wanted to do a minor seventh arpeggio over that, which is an A, C, E, and a G. Now, I don't want to just go through the arpeggio, I want to use the notes from the arpeggio. So how I use them is those are notes that I can plug into a soloing situation. Those notes are the notes that are active over a particular chord. And if I add, instead of just a 3-note triad arpeggio, and I add the 7th tone to it, make a 4-note arpeggio, it just gives me even more harmonic possibilities that I can do. I would check out that arpeggio series that we did. That'll help you out with all that. Jeff is asking, how do you break away from the 7 diatonic chords when writing a progression? What's the thought process? Okay, good question. When I'm doing, if you're trying to figure out a chord progression, okay, trying to create a chord progression, which is I assume what Jeff is talking about there. You're trying to create a chord progression, not just play what somebody else has done. How do you get out of just using the normal 1, 6 minor, 4, 5 chords? Well, you start doing little tricks that you can with these chords. Some of the easiest ones are like even in Jingle Bell Rock, occasionally, let's see, I will run up against a, in the second part of it, I run up against a D7th in the key of C, which is not in the diatonic chord progressions, but it's functioning as the 7th chord of the G7, which is the 5 in the key of C. So this is the 5 of the 5, a secondary dominant. That's a common one that you can use. Another good chord that you can use is to take the 4 chord, which in the key of C would be an F major, and instead of make it major, make it minor. So if I'm going, here's a major 4. Okay, now I'm going to use a minor 4. that twists the ear a little bit differently to use a minor 4. What if I did a minor 4 and then a D7th, a secondary dominant to the G7th? That's another way to do it. So those are some of the easier ones that you can do. Oh, what's another one we can do? I could do a maybe an E7th to lead me either to the 6 minor, the A minor, or I can even use it to go up to the F. So all of me, why not take all of me? There's that E7th right there. And then it goes to the A7th, again, not diatonic, which is the 5 of the D7 that's coming, which is the 5 of the G7 that's coming. So they're all backed up, a sequential 5 chords. It's kind of a dominant cycle, we call. So there's all kinds of things that you can use. Now, you don't have to follow a rule for them. Those are some of the easier ones to do. You could do something, like an A flat, pull an A flat out of nowhere. C major 7th, A flat major 7th, G. So I just did a little A flat to get me down to the G. Little tricks and options. So experiment. See if you can find some that work for you. Here's one. Don't go changing. Ah, that's a great one. So instead of a C, I did a C, and then I did this D9th, our secondary dominant, with an A in the bass. And then I went to an F. And then a G after that. So all kinds of fun things you can experiment with. That's what makes it's the surprise in the harmonic change that makes the song special. So really strive to kind of throw in a few unexpected chords. That's what makes your song stick out. Great. David Patrick is saying, I've been working a little on a 2-note melody and leads, moving through the scales in one position. It is tough to get it memorized finger-wise. Maybe I should do the Arpeggios aging. I don't know what aging is. Yeah, check out that Arpeggios series. That might help you there, David, on that. Greg is asking, am I using the Walrus ACS1? And if so, what settings do you like? I just got one. Yes, Greg, I am using the Walrus ACS1, which unfortunately is attached down here. I can't give you a shot of it. What am I using it for? It is an amp simulator. Shoot, I played 2 weeks ago with Denver and the Mile High Orchestra, and we did this big event at this huge church down there in Athens, Georgia. And they wanted me to run through an amp. I didn't like their amp, so I just pulled out the little Walrus thing here. It worked fantastic. So what do I like to do? It works just like an amp. So it's a little funny to kind of think of a pedal working like an amp, but it's got a volume, it's got a gain on it, and then it's got bass, mid, and treble. I'm using the Fullerton side of it. I'm using a little bit of gain. I mean, like gain is on 2, maybe. Then the volume is on probably 5 or 6. And then I've got a lot of bass in my signal, not too much mids. And then I'm goosing the highs just a little bit. And so that's all I'm using for it right now. So that is exactly what you're hearing right there, is that amp simulator there. Now, I actually do have an amp that's on its way to me right now from Henriksen Amps, and it should get here hopefully on Saturday. And I'm really excited to show you what that thing can do. My old Polytone amp, which I've had for 40 years, is starting to die. Starting to give up the ghost. I'm having it repaired at Nashville Amp Repair, one of the best places in the nation. But it's just, it's 40 years old. It's been, it's toured, played 1,000 gigs here in the United States. It's been overseas, hauled in and out of airports. It's, things been mashed around everywhere. So I'm getting a new amp. Really excited about the Henriksen amp and telling you guys all about it. So anyway, that's how I'm using the ACS1. We'll have to do a whole show on that sometimes and show you what all the wonderful things that thing could do. I really like it. I'm liking that. I hope you have some good luck with it as well. J Wood 7729 is asking, how do you keep from getting overwhelmed with all the things you could choose to learn and study? Very good question. How do you choose what to study? Well, and there's everything that you're interested in, I want to play like this player, and I want to play like that player, and I want to learn that style and stuff like that. We only have a finite amount of time that you can devote to something per day. Unless you're a college kid and it's your major and you're working on your instrument 5 to 8 hours a day, you've got a limited amount of time that you can devote to things, so you're going to have to put some things on the shelf. And don't feel bad about that. You need to put some things on the shelf, and here's why. It's a very important concept. If I just go, well, I want to study this, and I only have 2 hours or 1 hour, so I'm going to give everything 5 minutes. Well, that may look good on paper, but in reality, you need about 15, 20 minutes of focus on a topic to really kind of get down deep enough to understand what's happening in that topic and what you need to do with it. If I'm just, every time I touch it, I'm just doing 5 minutes with it, 5 minutes, I barely got my rump warm in the seat by then. So, and I'm certainly don't have my head in the right headspace to where I'm actually really down to what is the problem. So a lot of times if we do that shotgun approach, we don't get down deep enough into the topics to actually do some real serious learning. So what I would encourage you to do, take 2 or 3 topics, no more than 2 or 3, and then say, okay, here I'm going to devote this amount of time for it. Or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday I'm going to do this, Tuesday and Thursday I'm going to do that, whatever. But make sure and give yourself enough of a meal in that topic, 15, 20 minutes, to where you're actually getting down deep enough in your thinking to be able to concentrate and actually make progress with it. So that would be my encouragement for you. And put the rest on the shelf and say you'll get to them in the spring and stuff like that. Don't feel bad about it. Don't get overwhelmed by it. Just say, hey, I can't get to everything. But what happens if you start doing a little bit of everything, you'll get nowhere. And you'll get frustrated, and 5 minutes down the road, you're not any better than you were before, because you never have really gotten down into it. It's better that you put 10 things on the shelf and work on 3 topics that you're really trying to learn and actually get those down enough and spend enough time with them to where you can get some good progress, and then you'll start making some good progress. Good question. Jeffrey is asking how to develop ear training skills to hear chords and their changes from a recording. We ought to do a whole series on this, because that's probably the most important skill that I use every day with doing stuff here in Nashville, and it's a skill that is not really taught that much, of hearing chord changes. Just a lot of it comes down to, if I had to boil this huge ear training thing down in a couple of minutes, I would say learn to hear the 4 basic food groups of types of chords, the 1, 6 minor, 4, and 5. If you can hear in any song, establish what the 1 is, what the 6 minor is, what the 4 is, what the 5 is, then the world opens up to you. I was walking around in a store today, listening to something, and I would go, 4 chord, 1 chord, 6 minor, 5. And you just practice doing that sort of stuff all the time. And what helps with that is the bass line. Listen to the bass line. Listen to what the bass is doing. That will often be the key to telling you what this chord is what the bass is doing. So you establish what 1 is in whatever key, and then you start trying to find 5, which would be the next easiest one, and then 4, and then the 6 minor. And then realize how to separate out, here's a 1, if I'm in the key of C, there's 1. But if I hang a bunch of ornaments on it, there's a C major 9th. It's still a C. C. That's still a 6. It just has a bunch of other things added to it. Here comes the 4. If I add a bunch of other things to it, it kind of gets a little muddy. So learn how to isolate just on that bass note. That'll be the key to getting you familiar with what those 4 chords are. If you can identify those 4 chords, everything else starts to spill in after that. So there you go. Don is saying, do I ever use a lengthwise major 7th arpeggio? I'm assuming you're talking about that sort of a thing. I do occasionally. I would do that. It's a good thing to throw in there. arpeggios are great. Y'all are kind of asking a bunch of arpeggio questions today. Arpeggios are a key aspect of any guitar playing. So literally what I do, I mean, I'll just kind of talk to you about it for a second. What I do most mornings, I haven't done it the last morning or two because I've been finishing up the Guitar Gathering Academy that we've been working on. But I will do all of my major seventh arpeggios. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tripping over my words here. What I mean by that is I will do, let's say here's a C. So I'm going to do a C major seventh arpeggio. I'll even start on the G since it's a... Then I'll, a different place. I go up a little bit further and I do the same arpeggio. I'm still doing a C major seventh. You can tell I haven't done it in a couple days. Here's one at the 8th. Here's one at the 10th. Here's one at the 12th. And then I'll do those up and down. Then I'll go to D minor. Here's the first D minor I come across at the first fret. See how I'm doing pull-offs and things too. Next one is at the 3rd position. 5th position. 7th position. Let's see, 10th position. 12th position. Once I've done all of those in up through the key of C, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G7, A minor, B half diminished, then I end up, well, I've played major sevenths, I've played dominant sevenths, I played minor sevenths, and I played half diminished in every place on the neck that is applicable for that. It's a hard exercise, but it's a very helpful exercise. Plus, it gives me the hand strength with the hammer-ons and pull-offs, and so I really enjoy doing that. So that's the exercise I've been doing lately for these arpeggios. Griffin Tenbarge, my former student. Come on. What would be some good exercises for improving left hand tapping for use in songs like, look at you, Griffin, naming songs I don't know. Benvenuto Terzi Carillon. I probably should know that song. It's not ringing bell off the top of my head. Left hand tapping. I don't know if you're talking about this stuff. Griffin, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking there. First thing I would do is work on hammer-ons and pull-offs in general. And get that motion. And what I do for that is scales. That's a scale, C scale, starting on an F. And it takes me a couple days. I haven't done these in a couple days, so my hand's actually a little weak because I've been working on other things. And but that's what I would do is I work on scales, and it's primarily a factor for me of hand strength is doing that. So I know I didn't answer it as well as you need there, Griffin. But it's good to hear from you. So give me a call. We can talk about it. Whatever. The Bluesy is saying, what is the bebop scale? How is it used for, and how do you play it? Great question. We will have to do a whole series on that. Bebop's just another type of jazz scale that's adding a couple of different chord tones to it. Let me do some research on that so I have some things to really say on that before I do. I tell you, one thing you could look at is there is a great series by Amy. Oh, I'm not recalling her name. It's a jazz. She does a lot of stuff on YouTube. Just look up jazz improvisation. Amy, gosh, I forget her last name and the name of her channel. And you'll probably, if you can just type in Amy and do that, you'll probably find her because she's huge on that. She has a great teaching on the bebop scale with that. So we should probably do a whole series on that. There you go. Okay. we've got, let me take a little bit of a break here, and let's talk about a couple of things, and then I'll play another tune. In fact, let me grab my acoustic. We, there you go. All right, let me just play something first, and then we'll give something away. Actually, let's give something away right now. Before I play this, I want to give away. I've done way too many Christmas CDs over the years, and so I've got a couple of CDs here, and so let's give away some of my Christmas CDs. We're going to give this one to Jeff Height. Jeff Height. You have just won a couple of my Christmas CDs. Send me your information at service@guitargathering.com, your mailing address, things like that, and we'll send that out to you as well. Hey, if you're interested in that first song that I did, the Jingle Bell Rock and the track, I got that from this series, The Real Christmas Book. And it comes with some play-along CDs. There for you too. And it's like a real book, but it's all Christmas songs. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a Christmas song that's not in here. It has just about everything Christmas-related here, and it has some great little jazz tracks that come along with it. I've got 2 of these. So, Diane, maybe you can find the link for these in our store and put that up. If you're interested, you can get this and all of these tracks, it's 100 or so tracks, and the Real Christmas Book. That's where I pulled that out of. So it's a very, very great resource if you want to know how to play, I'll Be Home for Christmas or Jingle Bell Rock or Angels We Have Heard on High or any of that stuff. That'll be in that book there. So there you go. Hey, I was going through the store today, and I heard the old Vince Guaraldi Peanuts special. You remember the old Peanuts special there? And it made me think of this song, so I thought I would play this for you. Hey, there you go. A little bit of the Peanuts, the Peanuts Christmas special there for you to get us going here. All right, let's take a couple of more questions here. Oh, I wanted to also mention, I talked about it a little bit earlier, we do have our Fall Fingerstyle Retreat that we're actually filling up slots for, actually for next, it's the end of October for next year. So if you're interested, you can go to the store link there and being a part of that event. We also have a summer conference, which I don't have the link for that up just yet, but that's going to be in June this year, I believe June 14th through the 17th, if I remember right, for our summer conference. So I'll send everybody a notice on that, our summer conference as well. We've got some exciting things planned for that. So, all right. I wanted to talk about, just for a second, we'll get to some more questions here in a second, but I wanted to talk about a concept. I've kind of hinted about it before, but I don't know if we've actually kind of delved into it, about bringing out the melody in a piece of music. We talked about this with our Guitar Gathering Academy students this past week, and I thought it was just such a something that everybody has to deal with, so it's a good thing to talk about. What I mean is, like, if I'm doing a piece, even just that one that we were just doing, I'm trying to raise in volume this thing. Okay, that's the melody. And that's what I want to that's the part that I want to bring out. Everything else is less important. The melody is the most important thing. So even though I'm harmonizing other things in there, and I'm playing a bass line and some other things, what's important is that melody. So how do I bring one note louder and bring the others back? That's the trick. Bring one note louder and the others back a little bit. So a little exercise that you can do to help with that is take a chord. Let's say that song is the key of E, so I'll do an E chord. And I'm going to put maybe my thumb on the 6th string and my 1st, 2nd, and 3rd on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd strings. Okay? And so I'm just going to get a rolling pattern. Thank you, Taylor315, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Oh my goodness, Van Larkins. You're in the mix here, Van Larkins. You ought to be teaching this stuff. Van used to be with us here in Nashville. Now you're back over. I don't know, Van. Are you in Canada? Or are you still in Australia? So miss you, Van, my good friend. I miss you. I think about you all the time. I hope you're doing well. It's so good to see you popping in for this. Honored to have you. If ever you're back in town, Van, let me know. We will have you on the show. Love everything you're doing. Hope things are going well for you. A little exercise for bringing out the melody, training your hand to bring out the melody. So you can just get a little rolling pattern like this. Play it fairly soft. And then you choose which note you want to bring out. I'm going to bring out, let's say, my thumb note. Okay, now I'm going to bring out my index finger note. So do you see what's happening there? I'm really causing that note to be louder. Now I'm going to do my middle finger. Now I'm going to do my ring finger. A simple exercise like that really trains your hand into finding the note that is on that particular string and bringing it out. Hey, thank you, Tillman. Tillman, another one of our great students. Thank you so much for the super chat. We also have the PayPal going. If you want to support the work that we do and these wonderful lessons, then you check out the PayPal link as well. You can do that at a super chat. Appreciate all you guys. That truly helps out. If I'm doing, let me take that thought to the next level, okay? So if I'm doing, let's make it down to a D minor. Let's do a D minor. Let me get tuned up, it'll sound even better. So instead of just doing a sequential one like we were just doing, okay? I'm going to do a different pattern. I'm going to do maybe up and down. So now my pattern, I'm going up and down. So now I'm going to do my thumb again. But now I'm going to do the index finger. Now I'm going to do my middle finger. I'm going to do my upper finger, or my ring finger. The ability to do that is really important. It kind of takes your playing from 2D to 3D, okay? Because you're suddenly adding some dynamic range in your playing. So when you're doing a simple there, you're still able to hear the melody. And a simple exercise like that helps you train your fingers. See, I'm playing all those notes, but I can still bring out one if I need to. Just a little concept and a little exercise to help you out bringing out the melody. It's such an important part of your playing. Okay, let's get back to some questions. Don Adams is saying, where you use 2 strings and walk up the neck. I'm not quite sure what exactly you're talking about there, Don. Maybe you can clarify that a little bit better. Gene C is saying, yes, the Guitar Academy. Bluesy Brothers saying, do I have a favorite guitar? Ooh, that's a good question. Well, it's just different tools, you know. If I want to play acoustic and I'm on this, if I'm on my nylon string, which is probably, if I had to choose one be on a deserted island, I probably would choose my nylon string because I just prefer the sound of that, and it wouldn't hurt my fingers as much. So yeah, and as far as electrics go, I use this one is kind of my main workhorse guitar. This custom Telecaster, Brett Mason Telecaster by a Valley Arts guitar, and that's kind of my main work-a-day instrument just because it's so versatile. But I have a Strat. I have several Strats. Amy Nolte, Gary, yes, that is the one I'm talking about. Amy Nolte, she's the one that I was talking about with the bebop scale. Amy Nolte. There's lots of guys trying to teach out there. She's one of the great ones that really does it well, as far as, especially with jazz stuff. She's a piano player, but great. Jeff, thank you so much, Jeff, for your kind thoughts there. Good. Yes, thank you so much, Jeff, for all of your support. Everybody for all their support for all that. Okay, there was a couple other questions there that we're kind of jumping around here. If you okay, I'm not seeing anything. So if you have a quick question about something, we do have a moment before we get into some other stuff. There we go. Okay. Nancy is saying, any ideas about the next Guitar Gathering Academy? We do these occasionally throughout the year where I'll teach songs. This one we're in the holiday season, so we're just finishing up our Guitar Gathering Academy. In fact, I'll play one of the songs that we're working on this week to close us out here in a minute. We'll probably do another one in the, we'll definitely do another hymns one, and we usually do that around March. I may do one in January, but we'll just see. I'm kind of working on some other projects as there as well. So, yeah, I think probably the next one will probably be the hymns one in March. That we'll probably do that after that. Then I really wanted to do one on some of these arrangements for I get called to play weddings a lot, and there's a whole little Ed Sheeran tunes and stuff like that that I do a lot, and I was thinking of putting some of those arrangements on there. We've done a Beatles one and stuff like that. If you're interested, I'm going to be sending out probably in the next week, making some of these older Guitar Gathering Academies available. So if you're interested and you haven't caught the ones that we've done in the past, you're not lost. We can get you fixed up for that. So I'll try and send that out, work that out. It was going to be one of my tasks for this week. Keith is saying, can you use the thumb for lead on finger picking? I find myself using the thumb a bit. Yes, you do. You can use the thumb quite a bit for lead with finger picking, which especially on nylon string, I tend to do that a lot just because it's a warmer sound. See, it's really, I get a lot of power out of it. And it gets a warmer sound. Can you hear it? As opposed to... Ideally, you want them all the same, but there is a warmth that the thumb brings to it, definitely with the power. Yep. So I'll use the thumb quite often for different things like that. Blues Brother is saying, thanks for what you do, Steve. You guys have really made my guitar journey so much richer. Thank you so much. We try and make your guitar playing better. That's the idea.